This has to be the first time I've seen a complete lockup on Google Stadia. As we can see, we've got a menu, but nothing else is working. This is a bit odd. We'll get into that in a bit, but this is an overview of Google Stadia using the Backbone 1 on iOS 15. So some of these issues could be the fact that iOS 15 is still in beta, and there could be a few quirks here, but the only time I had an issue here was with The Division 2. However, there was a very consistent issue which we're seeing right here, where I had to launch every game twice for the first time. So I'm not sure what's going on here, but the first launch of every game would just start up and then chuck me back to the home screen, and it wouldn't even update my home screen for the latest game that I'd just played, which meant I'd had to go and hunt for it again in my playlist. But very strangely, the second time I launched it, it was like the game actually launched up in the background, as it took me back to that session, and as you can see, the game had already started. But for some reason, every time, first time, it just kicks me out of the game. So I'm not sure whether this is an issue with just The Division 2 right now, or whether there is an issue with Stadia in Safari on iOS 15. This is beta 8, so it should be pretty close to the final release. As you can see, the game is looking extremely smooth and runs very well and looks fantastic, is very responsive with the Backbone 1 controller. However, what broke the game for me and shortened this demonstration is I fast traveled. So after moving it around, after that initial issue with the startup, which wasn't too big an issue, like I said, it was every single game, so I just got used to it. But as soon as I fast traveled, things went really wrong for me with The Division 2, and I've never seen this before on Stadia on any game, let alone The Division 2, which has been one of the most solid games on Stadia for me from day one. As you can see, everything seemed fine up until the fast travel. However, as I was loading into the fast travel, the frames per second just ground to a halt. We're looking at 1 to 2 frames per second at best here. And then this season 7 end of watch screen came up, and the buttons just completely stopped responding. So I was unable to get out of that screen, and even though I was pressing all the buttons, I could bring up the Stadia menu, but I couldn't get back in, and even restarting the stream didn't fix the issue for me for some strange reason. So the only way to do it was to completely quit out of the game and start back from the new safe house. So hopefully that's just an issue on The Division 2, or it could be just something going wrong with the stream on iOS 15. But that's the first major issue I've seen on Google Stadia to date. So let's head over to Arc. Now again, there's another quirk for Google Stadia here that I've not seen on any of the other platforms, but it is also extremely annoying. So you can see here I have the server list filtered to my favorites. I only have 2 servers in my favorites, and I only have 2 servers in my favorites because they are the cross-play servers, so that I can be consistently testing across all platforms. However, for some reason on Stadia, apparently I have hundreds of favorites all tagged with legacy, and I have no idea where this has come from. And even using the search filters, I was unable to find the cross-play servers, so I'm not quite sure what's happened here. So I did have to dive into a completely new world, which was not too bad because it was a newer world, which meant hopefully less players having built everywhere. Once I was in the game though, the Backbone 1 is just so responsive on Google Stadia, it's unbelievable. It really does feel like native, and probably the most responsive that I've used on any of the cloud platforms so far. The graphics are absolutely superb on the iPhone 12 Pro. I know people have moaned about the draw distance on Arc, and you can do some workarounds on PC to increase that quality. But on the phone screen, it looks absolutely fine in my book, and I had no issue getting up to speed with my tools and being able to run around. Every time I play Arc, I do feel like I can do better, but then it does usually slam Arc back in my face and make me not want to play it again. So I did get quite far in this run through playing on Stadia. It was just so smooth, it was just quite nice to be able to play. And also the graphics, to me personally, looked absolutely fine. And as I said, on a phone screen, it was looking really clear and just so responsive and smooth. I completely forgot that I was playing on a phone. I did get quite far, And I actually felt quite good. I thought I might be able to get either a little house set up or at least get a sleeping bag set up so I weren't restarting from a random position all the time and I could at least get back to my base. However, things took a turn as they usually do on Ark, and just when I thought I was doing particularly good, Ark, being Ark, decided to out of nowhere send a giant anaconda my way. Now I have no idea where this came from, and this is just Ark all over, but even though I managed to get fish, there were other animals around me that I thought would keep kind of some of those monsters at bay. While I was crafting and sorting out my food, you'll see in the corner of the screen suddenly a giant anaconda come out of nowhere. So overall, Ark performing exceptionally well for me on Stadia on the iPhone, and the Backbone 1 just works absolutely perfectly. Completely forgot that I was playing on my phone, to be honest, but Ark still is a very difficult game to get on with. So let's have a look at the new multiplayer demo for It Came From Space to Eat My Brains. This is a fun little multiplayer game. However, I did just play solo here. Again, the graphics were just so smooth on this game. It's not a massively graphical game anyway. However, it does look extremely good, especially on that phone screen. And again, the Backbone 1 controller performing absolutely superb here with Stadia. No input lag whatsoever, and the dual joysticks making it extremely easy to spin around and aim here. This did kind of remind me of the Ascent, but a slightly more cartoony version, and also a little bit easier as the monsters move quite a lot slower, and at the moment they don't shoot back. So if you do want to join a bit more over a chilled shooter survival RPG style game, then It Came From Space to Eat Your Brains is currently free to play as a pro member, and definitely worth having a look at. To finish off then, I wanted to dive into Far Cry 5. This is one of the games that I keep meaning to get further on, and every time I dive in it just looks absolutely fantastic and is great fun to play. And playing on Google Stadia is just an absolute delight. Look at the graphics here, and the draw distance looks perfectly fine. On a phone screen it just looks exceptional. The effects in this game are just superb. Now usually for this style of game I do prefer a mouse and keyboard, but as I'm getting more and more used to the Backbone 1, it is nice to just be able to pick up your phone and play. And you can see here with the accuracy when I start shooting with the bow, the dual joysticks on the Backbone 1 controller are just so good and so accurate to use. It does make playing on a controller more enjoyable. See, I managed to tag them, so now I'm going to switch to the bow and try and take down some stealth. Getting that range right still takes a little bit of getting used to, as I always have to adjust in this style of game between bow types and other equipment. But the fact that I'm able to aim where I please and keep that accuracy with a joystick on the controller is just absolutely superb. You can see I did mess that one up and alert them all, so I had to switch the handgun to go and finish them off. But once again, that aiming down the sights with the controller and those twitch movements, not an issue, with absolutely no input latency at all on the Backbone 1 on Stadia. So overall, Google Stadia performing exceptionally well on iOS 15. Although there are a couple of quirks with the Safari version, with the fact that you need to launch a game twice to actually be able to play it from the web app. And then that issue with the Division 2, which looks like it's only an issue within Division 2, but I haven't used any fast travel mechanics in any other game. So hopefully that is just an issue on Division 2. I did go through one of the cutscenes on Far Cry 5 and there was no issue beyond that, so hopefully it is just limited to that game and that will get resolved soon. Let me know in the comments below if you've had any issues with playing on iOS and what your favourite controller is so far to play on mobile. Thanks for watching, don't forget to hit that subscribe button to stay up to date with all things cloud gaming, and we will see you next time.